And we're live.
Are we live? All right, guys, welcome back. It is David here, and we're calling this David's Vegas. Eventually, we're going to move it to a David's Vegas podcast, and today we are going to talk about how some dealers suck and how they are stealing your money. And I welcome you on this journey, and we're going to talk today about that. So, before I get started, I do want to remind you we have an event coming up March 30th and 31st. So that's the notification on my podcast. And here, let me get rid of this watch. Good Lord. Isn't that amazing? Always. All right. So March 30th, 31st, we have an event that's going to take place at Palace Station. We have tickets available on our website, casinoquest.biz. Right in the top, you can click the link, go right there, and hook yourself up. Okay, so today is going to be a little bit of informative, and then of course it's going to follow through with quite a few rants. I know a lot of you have been in the same situation that we're going to talk about, and I certainly have, especially recently. So this isn't a topic that I was going to really delve into. I think we've had this on Patreon a few times where I've talked about some bad actors and bad dealers in the past. But I came across what is arguably the worst dealer I've ever seen, and I'm gonna start with that. So some of you know, we go out, we play, we have either with fans or we play with ourselves, because who doesn't like playing with ourselves? And we experience, being dealers, we're able to kind of see and peer into the experience a little more in depth. That isn't always a thing. How's everything? Good. Pause. Weird audio. All right, hold on, everybody. A little technical issue. Is it with mine? Is it being reported by like everybody?
Okay, try.
Ready? Testing.
I should have fixed it.
Fixed it?
Yeah,
Did it fix it? All right, good.
It's going to take them a second before they hear it, but yeah.
All right, so here we go. All right, back in play. Okay, but you're gonna have fun with it. We're gonna have fun with this one. This is gonna be a fun little rant. We just wait for it. I've been a dealer a long time, and I would say that high on my list of pet peeves is quite honestly bad dealers. And there are so many ways that dealers are bad that many players just never even know how much they're getting screwed over. And this is the awakening, dude. And this is where I want you to join the journey. That's gonna be kind of my new thing. We're gonna get on the journey together. This journey of gambling, gaming, whatever the hell it is. We're gonna share it as much of us as possible. All right. So I came across the worst dealer I think I've ever seen. And interestingly, he wasn't the worst dealer in terms of skills. He was actually an older dealer. He knew the best. He knew how to think. But he sucked so bad towards the players. And it was clear there was a few things at work. One is he was pissed. He was really upset that here he was at whatever the hell age he was dealing this game, which I'm going to go into all that, by the way, because if you guys have ever watched a dealer and imagine yourself being a dealer, you do so because you imagine that you're getting paid to play a game, and that's true. You're getting paid to play a game. It's one of the easiest jobs on the planet. Literally, there are easier jobs where you're just sitting there on some, island that, you ever see those jobs that people apply for? They get to work on an island, they sit there and they make observations during the day, and, they spread cocoa, bathe in cocoa butter and, and have a spritzer in the afternoon. I mean, there are easier jobs, and don't get me wrong, but being a dealer is a relatively easy job compared to almost everything else I've experienced. I mean, I've been a military vet, I've been a dishwasher, I've been a rock quarry, I've sold cars. I mean, it's amazing. Being a dealer, you have, other than you doing the job, you go home, take your apron off, and there's no more. So there's like no stress. Like the stress is in the moment, right? The things you got to deal with. And even that, if you can manage even the tiniest bit of consumer interaction or player interaction, it's easy. There are bad bosses, but there are always bad bosses. There are bad scenarios. There are always bad scenarios. There are so many ways where it could take away from, your experience. But for the most part, being a dealer is an easy job. And it always amazes me how many dealers there are who get to this point where they get very jaded, and their goal is to take away from the player experience. Their goal is to literally take away from your players. So let me get back to my story, because this is the setup for this whole thing. And then we're going to get on to not only the ways that they are bad, But then I'm going to move into like what you can do. Like, how do you make your experience better? And there's a way. There's a way forward. Honestly, there's a way forward. All right. And then I'm going to go full rant. So like, we'll kind of notch this up a little bit. We'll start easy. We'll slide in gently, and then we'll move on to the good stuff. Okay. So I took over a group of 10 people to this casino, and we show up on the table, and we basically take up this whole table. There's a dealer there on one side, and there's another dealer on the other side. Me and Dennis are hosting this group. Now, this group originally wanted to go to a completely different casino. I'm not going to mention the casino because I don't want there to be a takeaway from that, because this situation was corrected 100%. And it's one of the few times where I personally have intervened and made it a point to just express my displeasure, let's just say, okay? Because I think there's a point where you have to have a voice. There's a point where kind of enough is enough. And we sit back, and believe it or not, most of the time we don't say anything. And when we do say something, people tell us like we're trying to be bad actors. We're not trying to be bad actors. We're trying to give you some positive feedback. We're trying to give you some constructive feedback. How about that? Even if the experience isn't positive, we're trying to let you know, hey, this is the experience that we had. And we're a low bar. Our players, we're not teaching players how to beat the casino. We're not teaching players how to just win. We're not doing that nonsense. We're not 86 from anywhere, right? Because we're trying to get you to pay us and go play, and we have some predefined. We tell you right away there is no predefined outcome, right? We're in this. We're a casino partner. We're a school. We're trying to train people and teach people the game and the opportunity in the game, so they can play. And every casino loves that. They love educated players. All right, anyways, all right, let me focus. So we go into this casino, there's 10 of us, there's about 5 people. And by the way, these are people with money. And we went to this casino because it doesn't matter how much money you have. When you're learning to play a game, you should always start at the lowest possible table that you could get onto. That's just common sense. Like, why would you want to risk more money than you need to, especially when you're new to the game? You should always start at the lowest bar. If I were you, and many of you, just start on a bubble craps game, $1, $5, $3, whatever the case is, so you get familiar with the bets. Go to Crapsy. Crapsy.com. There's a new iteration coming up. I think it's going to be launched very soon, but it's a fantastic tool to learn how the bets move and see how you can play the game. Okay, so we show up to this game, and right away I noticed that the players, we taught the players squeeze play. So we taught them a very defined game. $44 on the inside, and then squeeze play, you add the 4 and 10. Many of you are familiar with this system, and then one of those hits, then you come down to 32 across. It's very simple. And it's a really easy bet. I mean, if you're the most basic of dealers, it's not a hard bet to manage, especially when you do it once. You can do it over and over again. It's not a big deal, right? So we do this, and right away, everybody puts their money in the field, okay? Because the table that we had taught them on originally was a much smaller table. There wasn't a lot of space to interact with.
By the way, this wasn't in our store.
Yeah, this wasn't in our store. So we hosted this event separately at another venue. We had to use this mobile crap table, and so it was a bit funky, really small table. It didn't really have all the tools that we normally use. So that's okay. That's why we were going to a real casino. So we go to the real casino. I called ahead to let everybody know we were going to be there. So we go there, and so we have this. So this dealer. And again, we're not going to share where it is. It's a great. Listen, there's always bad actors, and you're going to run into bad actors no matter where you go. Okay, and this was a very unique situation that was very specific. So it doesn't matter. It could be anywhere. It could be on space. It could be in the moon. Who knows? All right. So we're playing, and I'm on the other side. I'm standing with Dennis, and everyone's on the other side. And I realize that there's already this argument that's going on. I move over to the base, and I see that they had put the money in the field. So the dealers had set the money down, not the dealers, the players had set the money down to make this bet, let's just say, without going into too many details. And instead of the dealer talking, asking a question, or engaging, you could tell, but he had a scowl on his face like he literally hated being there. I hear him, the first words out of his mouth, he's yelling at his own stick person to speak louder because there's a lot of noise and he couldn't hear, whatever the case is. But instead of just saying, hey, what's the roll? Or asking, right away, and I can see the stick person rolling their eyes. There's already this sort of confrontational kind of thing. You follow? So here's what happens. The bet that they make actually gets paid. It wins, but it's not the bet that they wanted to make. And so the players are confused because I taught them one way, and here they're getting paid for something else. And so the player asks the dealer, hey, I think you mispaid me. Can you imagine? When you get mispaid, by the way, take the bet. That's not stealing. The dealer made a mistake. Take the bet. If they want to correct it or fix it or address it, then that's up to them. But most casinos, they move on. Dealers make mistakes all the time. The dealer made a mistake. They paid a bet they weren't supposed to. Just take the bet and move on. The problem was that these players, I had trained them very specifically to do something, and they were confused now. They didn't know what had happened. And so they're trying to interact with the dealer. Well, the dealer did not want to. The dealer knows the game. The dealer could very easily say, oh, you wanted 44 inside. Okay, let me set that up for you very easily. No problem. Instead, the dealer argues with them. What do you want? Why are you arguing with me? You got paid. I mean, right away becomes this adversary, starts arguing with the player. And the player is less like, and I'm like, well, just go ahead and pick up the money. You know what I mean? You got paid, so what? You know what I mean? But again, it's a takeaway from what they were trying to do. They were there to learn the game. And so then the player is asking the dealer, well, listen, how do I make this bet? And he's like, well, you want to make a bet, you got to put it here. You got to make a bet here. You got to tell me it's here. But he did put it there, and he did tell you what the bet was. So all you're trying to do is create conflict. You just don't. Meanwhile, the entire time the dealer is looking down, does not want to make eye contact with the player, is completely sort of tapped out of this whole experience. And so guess what happens? These players shut down. I mean, if I'm a new player, I shut down too. And now I have a dealer that doesn't want to work with me. There's no other place to go, okay? I can't go anywhere. I'm literally stuck here. I've been invited here, so I have my host is behind me. It's just creating this completely awkward scenario. And so what ends up happening is all of the players, not all the players, some of the players are adamant about here's my bet, this is what I want to do. But the other players that are more confused or don't want to engage, they just shut down. So now they don't know what to bet. They don't know how to bet. Maybe I just bet the field because apparently that's the only thing that the guy knows how to pay or is willing to pay. Or now, if I don't know where to put my money, how can I ask the dealer where to put my money? And this is one of those ways where you're losing money. Like if you can't communicate and you shut down, you can no longer play at the way you want to play, you're losing money because now you can't create opportunity yourself. You fall back into this some sort of default mindset. And quite honestly, casino doesn't want that. They want you to have fun. They want you to have engagement. They don't want a dealer like this changing your reality or changing your ability to interact with the game. But here's where it got worse. And this is where I felt like I had to say something. So the person that originally was like talking to this dealer, and not to say that it's, basically he's an executive, okay? And I say that only because he's used to sort of taking charge of situations. He's a pretty big executive. He's used to take it, and this is one of those circumstances where he literally was just not going to let this dealer roll him over. And he wanted to have this conversation with him. Listen, I want to play. Tell me what I need to do so I can make my bet and play my money. And you know what the dealer says? Listen, if you want to play and you want me to help you, put a bet down there for me. Literally, just with this angry voice, by the way, put a bet down. Bet right there for me. And now, the player understands what tipping is and is looking at this dealer going, are you kidding me? Because for this by the way, this is for about 10 minutes. There was all this, angry, adversarial consternation. There's a whole lot of stuff going on between, them getting the bet wrong and then moving on to where the dealer is asking for the bet. And so, of course, the player is like, but your customer service is terrible. Like, literally, just customer service is terrible. I don't know if it's the exact words, but something to that effect. And he's like, and the dealer, of course, is like, yeah, but what do you want from me? You're not betting for me. Of course I'm not betting for you. You suck, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to bet for you because you suck. Like, why would I do that? That doesn't make any sense. But now what you're telling me is I got to pay you to just gamble here. That's like having to pay a restaurant. The other day, I literally go to this restaurant, and the guy wanted to be a maitre d'. All he was doing was leading me to the table. And he made this comment about me tipping him for a better table, because I asked him, I had put a reservation request on the table, and they didn't want to fulfill that. And I'm like, well, dude, when does this go too far, dude? Now, back in the day, years and years ago, you paid for a seat. Like literally, if you walked into a lot of showrooms, if you wanted to sit up front, there was no seating arrangement, there was no VIP crap. You didn't buy into some other thing. You literally paid the maitre d' money, and they sat you at a better place. It was sort of a given thing, right? Now we got restaurants that are $250, $250 to get out the door, and that's just on food. You got a $95 baked potato at the one restaurant. Now you're telling me that you want me to pay you for the table that you're taking me to right now, just like that. You just want me to pay. He's like, well, we got this one shitty dining area, and then we have this nicer dining area, but if you pay me for, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, I just feigned that I didn't hear him, and as we kept going, we ended up sitting at the table. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's gotten a little out of control. I tip well. I take care of the staff, and I know that they share it between themselves. It should be enough that you give me some great food, you deliver some great service, but if I'm paying you to sit down, I'm going to go somewhere else. There's a restaurant here in town, by the way, that before you even walk in the door, they add 20% to your bill that is not part of the tip, strangely enough. It's a service fee for you being at that restaurant, quite literally.
And they don't give it to the staff; they take it for themselves.
Yeah, because they feel like their costs have gone up, so they just take it. Why not just raise the money? It's like Fontainebleau charging 50-cent convenience fee for the $35 valet fee. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense to me. Anyway, all right. So now let's get down to the list. So now you see. So basically, I was furious. I was absolutely furious. I came in. I walked into this guy. And I came up to the table, and I basically started having interaction with him, but it was very difficult because he didn't want to look up, he didn't want to engage, he didn't want to talk, he just had a scowl on his face, and he was so consumed with his own BS that he wasn't willing to talk to me, which is fine, because it didn't go well for him, and it should go well for him, because there's obviously were complaints about him, because if you run into a situation like that, you're going to have complaints. And if you wonder how people like that end up on the game and how you end up with some of the worst dealers, I'll tell you how. Because they think that they're protected somehow. They think that because they know somebody, they got juiced in, they're protected, and that's always been the case. Well, when I was a dealer here in town, and it was my livelihood, I didn't have a lot of juice. I always ran the risk of being the first one to go, although I was never fired. I've never been fired for a dealer job. But I always knew who was protected. And if you ended up on one of their tables, boy, one of these dealers that were protected, that had juice, that knew someone, you knew to treat them differently. I didn't care. That's why I kept to myself. I did my own thing. I didn't, you know what I mean? I just don't care. Literally just doesn't mean anything to me. I could care less. And so I would run afoul of these types of people, But anyways, I feel like the player revolution is here. You know what I mean? I feel like because of YouTube, because of all the education that's available, because of how empowered you can be as a player, I feel like you have choices. And I feel like your choices are getting better and better and more varied and diversified. And I feel like the player revolution is going to begin. Really, I really do. I think that the way everything is going, the economy, the diversification of owners here in town, the new properties that are being built, you have real choices, where to go, where to spend your money, and what to do. And the mindset should really change. You know what I mean? We have to get rid of this old way. All these people that are mired and anchored in the past should start moving on. But all right, I'm getting into the rant thing. See, I go right to the rant. You ready?
It's okay. I have a little good breakaway. We have a couple of super chats.
Oh.
We have Derek, gave us $4.99.
Our Derek.
He's trolling, but he says $100 minimum table paid by David. You're guaranteed a good time spending David's money.
Yeah, 100%. $100 minimum? Yikes! I don't think I'd ever play on. I have played on $100 minimum. That's not true. I have played.
But with your money?
But with my not with my. No, I have played with my money.
Oh, okay.
I played on that holiday table back in the day because I was degenerate and yeah. Anyways.
Okay, we have some more super chats. Another one from Derek for $1.99. He says,
Derek,
always tip your dealers.
Loaded. By the way, Derek's got some big ass job now, dude. Congratulations, buddy. I've been looking,
He says, always tip your dealers.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about the tipping. I'm gonna talk about how to get dealers on your side. By the way, this is gonna be really. If you're a player, you're gonna have. This is really gonna be good. And once I get through the ranting, God.
And now this is the last super chat so far.
Yeah.
We got a $5 super chat from K Panther. It says, I don't know about Vegas, but in Washington, a dealer hustling tips is auto termination and possibly losing your license.
I know. It should be. I don't. There's no. So in Louisiana, I think that's true. In a lot of new markets in Vegas, the casinos typically will fire you unless you're protected. And I'm gonna go with that. 100%. A dealer hustling. I mean, telling the guy like I am not going to help you unless you tip me. That's absurd. Anyways, all right. I'm gonna move up. I'm gonna move on for that. All right. So here's let me count the ways. I'm gonna focus on this, and then I'll try to get back and we'll go back into rant. All right. So. First of all, ever run into the dead game dealer who's not open for business and they let them literally sit here with your arms? So first of all, dealers aren't supposed to sit on a table with their arms folded in front of them because it's rude. It's rude because it shows a lack of engagement and an unwillingness to engage. So if you're a supervisor and you're running a gaming pit, you know what you want your dealers to do? Have their hands in front of them, looking like they're ready to play, right? Because that's what invites players to come to the table. But so if you have this dealer who's sitting back, shoulders, you know what I mean, arms crossed, they're looking down, they clearly don't want you to come up. And then the minute they see out of the corner of their eye that someone's approaching the table, they look away, pretend they're distracted, they do everything they can because they don't want you to come to their table. Well, maybe that's losing your mind. That could be the best shoe you've ever had, right? Because why? I don't understand why dealers want to sit around and sit dead all day long and don't want to engage. You're going to be the rock that weighs down the rest of the pit. Are you kidding me? Do you know how many times I would go into my job and you could look and see who's the dead weight on your shift? The dealers that showed up just to get paid. And you know who's paying them? Me. I'm paying them. I'm paying them because guess what my players are doing? My players are coming to my table and they're playing with me because I'm there to play. I'm there to play, dude. I don't want the day to go by with doing nothing. I could do nothing outside. I could do nothing at home. There's a lot of other things I could do nothing at. You're kidding me? Like all I got to do is break out some cards or some chips and we could play a game. My mother sits around for hours on end trying to figure out who to get to play a game with her. You're at a casino ready to get paid for people to play a game with you. How is that not a win? Who wants to sit there? It's amazing the number of dealers that do. But again, it's a huge takeaway. It loses money for the casino. It takes away from your ability to play because, maybe you're looking for a casual table. Maybe you're a new player. You're a new player. You want to come up to a game that's dead. You want to be on a table that's just you. And then you have dealers who commiserate that you opened their game and you made them shuffle and because they're just learning maybe. Maybe they want a little slower pace. They don't want to be with a lot of other people. A lot of people like to engage on that level. And that's why you're there, dude. That's why you're a dealer. That's why you're there. You're there for the customer. You're not there for you. You're not there to pick up an envelope. Well, we used to call it picking up an envelope. That's the tips. But you're not there. Do you really want to be the dead weight on your shift? You know what I mean? Do you really want to be that dealer? It was amazing. When I was a dealer, I worked on a crew at one point where I know it's hard to believe, but there were players that used to follow me around. So I had players would ask me, hey, I would go from one casino to the next, and they would find me, and then they would reach out to me somehow. A few players knew I had my number, stuff like this, and then I would have dealers that would come on my crap table because the crap table you have a crew, and then we go, oh my God, here's David. We're gonna be busy all day. You're damn right, we're gonna be busy all day, dude. You're damn straight. I never felt I never felt reserved about that or ashamed about that. I wanted to be busy. I want the day to go by. I want to look up and be out the door. I want to bend over, work, and then done and make my money and that's the whole thing. It doesn't mean I like every player. I'm completely engaged every player. It means that if I'm doing my job, guess what? I am earning tips. And I'm not earning tips from everybody. And the expectation that you have to learn tips from everybody is some nonsense. That's just not how the human race works, okay? But if you deliver enough great service, some of those people that don't tip respect it. And maybe they tip a little. You squeeze a little bit out of them. But anyways, we'll get to that later. All right, so there's a dead game dealer. They suck, and they're literally just coming to work to do as little as possible. Those people try to get on graveyard as much. They try to find some fringe game. They try to deal something that nobody wants to deal. I mean, it's the dead weight of the casino, and there's many of those. All right, next one is this. So in line with the dead game dealer is the no engagement dealer, the dealer that literally just is a robot, that is a mechanical outlet. Everything they do, they're not willing to talk. They don't want to make eye contact. They don't want to get excited. They don't want to smile. You ever walk up to a table and you try to get a dealer to smile and you make because I've seen as a floor supervisor, I had someone who was who was famously just hated smiling or giving in to the customer at all. They didn't last too long at the casino, of course, but people would come up and try to make them smile. You know how those British guards, they try to make them people come up to them and try to make them, get out of form. If you have to make a dealer smile, move the hell on, dude, because why do you want a dealer like that? That's not a thing. You know what I mean? Like quite honestly, these aren't guards. These aren't British monarchy guards that are focusing on defending a castle or whatever. These are dealers. Their job is to smile. Their job is to say hello. Their job is to welcome you and educate you and inform. Yes, educate you. Their job is to engage. Their job is to make sure your money's coming out and your bets are out and you're having fun and you're staying on the table and you're getting cocktails and you're having a good time. If you end up on a table where that's not true, I guarantee you it takes away, not only does it take away from your experience, it takes away from your opportunity, right? Because again, if they're not engaging, you're not engaging. And it limits how you play, how you press, how you bet, time in the game. You know what I mean? It tends to shut players down. And it's one of those things that I feel without any doubt, even though it's sort of a subconscious thing, it takes away from your ability to kind of own and manage your own experience. You follow? Like if there are bets that you're just not familiar with, or ways of betting that you're not familiar with, or strategies, or whatever the case, and you have a dealer who's not willing to engage you, you're losing money, right? It's just a thing. It is. So if you run into a dealer that's not willing to even just pick up their head, smile, or talk, that's not. And if you think that they're there because that's what the casino wants, it's just simply not true. The casino often has no choice but to employ these people because there's a massive shortage of dealers up and down the strip, and so they've literally run out of better options, like in some cases. But it's not what they prefer, and it's not what they want, right? What they want is dealers who will smile, who will engage, who will educate, inform, who will talk to a customer and make them feel, look, the casino loses money when that customer leaves. You know what I mean? Like if you still got money in your pocket, right? Casino wants you to stay engaged. Like we incentivize the relationship at casino. We want you to stay at Casino Quest too, right? The more time you're in the seat, the more money we make. I mean, quite literally, it's based on the hours that you're there. You follow? So like the casino is the same thing. And how do you keep people in the seat? Well, you talk to them, dude. You make them feel welcome. You make them feel like they matter and they're part of the experience because they do matter. They absolutely matter. Like why? That's why, as a dealer, we have these jobs and we have these experiences. All right, you ready? I'm going to get to the next one. So,
you do have a super chat.
Okay, go.
Brent said, gave us $5 super chat. Says, what's the current table minimums on the strip? Mainly TI, Mirage, Caesars, Win,
15, 25.
Venetian. TI is 15, though you do have the Stadium Craps. That's at 5 if you want to play that.
The Stadium Craps is a lot of fun. You guys, it's at $5. It's. I would recommend. It's a really good experience, by the way. Yep. You don't have to really rely on dealers. Everybody sets up their own monitor. You have someone actually shooting the dice.
Especially because he said he was going to come into Casino Quest and teach his wife craps.
Yeah.
So if it's not a bad way to go for someone who's just learning.
If you're just learning, Stadium Craps is great, dude. We love it. That's where we were going to go, by the way, before we ended up at this table. I recommend Stadium Craps. I also recommend
Bubble Craps.
The Bubble Craps. Me and Dennis love Bubble Crap. We sit there, do our own thing, play dollars. I mean, it's a really fun way to burn some time. So we do love that. Okay. By the way, just so you know, Derek, Jasmine has an all-you-can-eat buffet now. Next time in Vegas, buddy. We still have dinner, dude. We still have dinner coming. All right, I got to put that out there. Go ahead. All right, you ready?
Yep.
Okay. So the next category is the player hater. Not just no engagement. That's kind of like the neutral thing, but the player hater. There are literally there are literally dealers out there who have gotten to the point where they're just so jaded, they just hate all the players. And here's what they do. While they're there, they're wishing that you were losing all your money. They're an adversary. Right from go, they smirk, they're sarcastic, they will literally talk, I would say they would talk bad of you. Did we pass the profanity part? Yeah. But anyway, so they will talk shit about you. And they will do it sometimes right in front of you if you don't know better. If you're on this same table that we were on a craps table with, you know what I mean? You have the dealer making commentary and doing it in a way that they feel like the players won't understand. And it's amazing because there are sort of verbiage that dealers have between themselves where they feel like, a person can't technically catch on to it if they're a player, if they feel like you're a novice player or you're not familiar. But don't forget that I'm lurking in the background, you know what I mean? Like, so I've watched the whole crew, not at this place, but a whole crew talking smack about somebody on the hook until I realized who the hook was. It wasn't somebody that I knew specifically, but there was this guy that was betting erratically, and they were just talking very negatively and commiserating about this individual. And all three of them were player haters. They were literally cross-firing through the whole table talking smack about this guy. And the player hater does everything they can to take away from your experience. I mean, if they can underpay you, they will underpay you. If they can move any money, and even tip money, even if you're a tipper and you deal with a player hater, man, they will find a way to take away from your experience. What they also do is they go to the break room and they commiserate about you. They make you a target throughout the whole casino, and trust me, it's a thing. We teach a lot of classes, and we educate. We talk about game protection a lot, and I use this as a bit of a segue. But there are people who will target weak dealers, and so that's one of the reasons why we teach so much game protection when you're a break-in, because when you're break-in, you really have to focus on all the things that matter on a game. And trust me, in the background, these experienced players are talking about you and making you a target as a dealer, right? Now, on the flip side of that, guess what the dealers are doing? The dealers are going in their break room and commiserating about players that they don't like, and it's a thing. It's a target. I know for myself when I've worked at many casinos, 13 properties, right? And instantly you go into the break room and they're all this guy, hey, this guy or this girl, whatever the case is. They're all, and of course, and now they're becoming a target. They walk up to your game and you're like, you want to hate them right from go because all of your peers have said this is the worst player there is, right? And so now you have this completely negative interaction. You have made yourself an adversary, and you don't even know why. You literally just now you're hating them. And then if you short them, you're like, screw it, because we don't like this guy anyways. He doesn't tip, whatever the case is. And so again, it takes away from the player's experience by having dealers that commiserate and just hate players. Now, if you are someone who likes to, you want me to take a pause? Let me just finish. If you're someone who likes to play on this strip, I will tell you there's more of this on the strip. And the reason for that is it's a very different player dynamic. So the strip gets a lot of new people. You end up dealing with a lot of the asses, I would say. Here I am commiserating that. But the people who are, a little bit more entitled, some of the people who have a really negative, treat dealers poorly, and there's more than a few of those. You follow? They tend to interact on the strip. They go to the bigger properties, and so it can be a daunting task to be a dealer for a long period of time and not let that impact you negatively. It's just a fact of life, right? Then you go downtown. Downtown is much more of kind of like the Wild West a little bit of Vegas, where you get this mix of locals. You get people who are kind of down and dirty gamblers. They're used to going downtown. And they want more of a down-to-earth kind of experience. They don't need all the amenities and creature comforts that come with being on the strip. And then you go to local places, and local places vary based on what you're looking for. But local places cater. You see the same people over and over again. And in those experiences, you really don't have the option to get too jaded as a dealer, because you can't. Someone that comes to casino on a regular basis has a relationship with that property. So it requires for you as a dealer to interact with them at a certain level. I'll be honest with you. I personally love dealing downtown, and I love the mix of tourists. I love scrappy players, scrappy people. I don't get all the pomp and stuff like this. Although it's nice to be in that environment, I have to say. It's less smoky. It's less this. But I also enjoyed working local places, especially sort of higher end local places where you get to know some of the players, but and some of these players, by the way, are cheap, and you know what I mean. You have this whole range of player, but so like when you're looking at having an experience for yourself, I personally would recommend you getting out of your comfort zone a little bit. Like if you're someone who sleeps, listen, the room is one thing, but where you gamble and where you want to interact, there are local places that are absolutely fantastic, where the dealers are going to treat you well, where the customer experience is expected to be at a certain level. There's real accountability for that experience. You follow? Like there's a lot of places that are not on the strip that will offer that. But all right, we'll get to that a little bit. Okay, so we have the player hater. There's tons of them, man. I have people that I've known for many years who I love who are absolute player haters that will tell you right up. They are just so done with dealing, and they feel like they don't know anything to the player. Listen, if you're making $100,000 a year dealing, you owe everything to the player. You know what I mean? There is no circumstance where you can sit there and tell me that you're if you're done, you're done. Do something else. Like and I know that's not for a lot of dealers, like what else are you gonna do that makes that much money? But then don't be a player hater, because it's literally the player that pays your wage. It literally is the player that pays your wage. So there's no point in that relationship where I feel that a dealer is justified just tapping out. And I'm sorry to say that, because I know there's a lot of dealers. Some of you may be listening to this right now. But it is what it is, man. You make all that money because you have players. And you have players that are also asshats too, who contribute to the bottom line and make your casino work the way that it does. Not every player falls into this perfect category. And if you don't realize how lucky you are to make $100,000 a year as a flippin' dealer, go see the guy in India that unburies himself for 4 hours a day from mudslides, okay? Go imagine yourself in some of the other worst case scenarios of jobs that you can have in the world. I mean, it always belies truth. I have to tell you, man. And a lot of you are out there, well, 100,000 in this day and age, but in Vegas, 100,000 is not bad. You can buy a house. We're below sort of a median in some areas. Some areas we're higher. Apparently, our gas bills are going through the roof. No what the hell have that. But it's not bad, and it is what it is. And anyways, God. All right, ready? Okay. All right, so we had the player hater. This one's gonna verge on a little bit of the engagement side, but there are dealers out there who feel like they can't help the bettor, like they can't advise the bettor, and that's somewhat true. So casinos don't want dealers to tell players what the edge is and how to take advantage of. Like they don't want players to know how they're getting screwed. Like you don't want to walk up to a 000 roulette wheel and the dealer saying, "This is the worst game. Go play the 00." You know what I mean? Like if someone walks up to 000 and they're like, "Oh my God, look at all these zeros. I love it." They're going to be like, "Come on in, play." They don't want the dealer doing that. They also don't want the dealer going, "Hey, guess what? You're at the 6-5 blackjack game. Okay, you're about to get screwed over here." You know what I mean? Or whatever the case is. Like they don't want that. But if the dealer can say to them, "Hey, this is a double street. This will pay for this. This is what this pays. You can bet the columns. You can do this." It's okay to educate the player on how to play. There's basic strategy in blackjack. And you can say the book says to do, "Hey, should I hit this?" Yeah, the book says. I'm not saying, the book says. You know what I mean? Now, if I'm on a crap table, I can let someone know this is the better odds. These are place bets. You can share other people's experience. Say, "Hey, this person is betting place bets across. This person's betting a come bet. They're looking for 2 numbers, repeaters." You can share what's going on in the game, and you can volunteer that information so you get player engagement. Because again, the less a player knows, the worse they do. Like that's how players are, getting taken advantage of. Because if you don't know, you're either losing or you're really lucky. So I know people walk up to a game. We saw this guy win 13 grand, walked up, had no clue. All he knew was the horn bet. And it was just nothing but horn bet numbers for 20. I mean, I don't know. It was ridiculous. $13,000. Luckily, it was. But that guy was just lucky. He wasn't. He's not informed. No one was willing to help him, especially that group. By the way, this was at Bellagio, dude. Oh my God, the worst deals. Bellagio will never. I love Bellagio. I love the food. I love the rooms are fantastic. The food is fantastic there. One of my favorite restaurants there. But oh my God, those dealers. And that's where I'm going to get to some rants. But Jesus, believe this. Okay.
I do have a couple super chats from
fantastic.
Christopher Bird. Give us $5.
Christopher
Says, "I always tip the dealer, but for some reason they get mad when I go to the dark side and run off other players."
Dude, I'm gonna. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Yeah, don't pass. Yeah, one-way dealer. That's the one-way dealer, dude. The one-way dealer. You only bet one way. You can't bet the other way. That's like on everything. You can only bet one way, the way that they like, and in like groups of stacks of something that you like, the one-way dealer. Okay, what else? Good?
We have another super chat from Derek. Gave us $4.99. Says, "I want to try the M Resort's $100 buffet brunch. All you can eat lobster tail."
Oh, really? So Jasmine has all you can eat lobster. The M is close to our new house. So we went there. We ate this Italian restaurant that we saw it didn't have the best ratings, but we enjoyed it. It was great. I went there the other day. I don't know if I gambled there, but it has a nice vibe. I kind of like it. Anyways, anything else?
I'm trying to find the question because someone asked a really good question. So I guess at one point I can't find who asked it, but at one point you said the ATS ruined the game. It wonders why you say that.
I say the ATS ruined the game.
That's what I read.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think ATS ruined the game. That's not me. I think we might have been talking something else. So I don't think. I think that the plethora of side bets have taken away from the game in some ways. So that would be like an opinion I have. But I don't think the ATS specifically, all tall, small. It's called a bonus. I mean, it's called a few different things depending upon who table it's on. But
maybe it's because it slowed down the game. I'm not sure.
I mean, I think some cases it slows down the game. The fire bet used to slow down the game, like you would not believe. They had to roll the camera back, a bunch of stuff. But I don't think the ATS. I think maybe there's situations where anytime a supervisor or box players has to be involved, that would take away from the game, and that could change the dynamic a bit. But I don't believe the ATS. I don't know. I don't know. Did I say that? Because I didn't mean that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure.
By the way, it's one of the bets I actually enjoy. I think that of all the bets that are out there, like the high-low field, I think that's stupid. There's a new 6 and 8 that they've created. I think that's also stupid. I think all the nonsense where they partition the game, and now you look it down a crap table. It's already a confusing game, and now you've partitioned it into 18 other more confusing pieces. The ATS I like because there's a lot of people who really love to just throw the dice. You know what I mean? Like their goal is I want to throw all the numbers before the 7, and that's a fun bet to throw some money on and try to win. There's no takeaway. Do I feel like it plays a role in any of our strategies? Absolutely not. I would never bet it as a strategic thing. And if you want to know why, talk to SideBet Sam. SideBet Sam. Because we literally, so SideBet Sam is called SideBet Sam because, as you would guess, he loves side bets. And so one of the days we were at Casino Quest, we were playing around because he buys lots of hours to hang out with us. And so, we were kind of comparing, we were kind of keeping an eye on all the side bets and seeing how, and he rolled a great hand and was up like 1,500, but like 500 of it, he would have won 500 more if not for the side bets that he was still winning. Because if you look at most of the side bets pay worse than a roulette table, like literally, or you might as well just play straight up on roulette because the bets pay worse. 36 ways the dice, right? But when you bet one number, okay, one number. So here we have 38 numbers basically, right? So close enough, 36 ways. This number straight up pays 35, 2-1, okay? Whereas on a crap table, you're only getting 31, 4-1 or 30-2-1. You see what I'm saying? So the math doesn't come in. So when it comes to prop bets, I mean, I play prop bets because they're fun on a crap table. I'll play hard ways and stuff like this. And I don't mind the ATS. We've had some epic rolls. The Principal, that was fantastic. That was one of the best stories ever. But anyways, all right, let's go.
K Panther gave us a $2 super chat. Says,
Yeah.
I think dealers don't like the ATS because it sucks. It sucks tokes.
Yeah, but sometimes you put them up for the tokes. Yeah, I mean, I guess it feels like, and there's that throughout the casino. Trust me, I hear about it all the time. A lot of dealers, that used to be the mainstay when side bets first became a thing, because they didn't, in the 90s when I was dealing, I didn't know of a lot of side bets. There were a few out there. Let It Ride was introduced in like the mid 90s, maybe early 90s, something like this is what I remember. But side bets were slowly becoming, now they're just literally everywhere. It's amazing how many side bets are. And I feel like a lot of dealers that went through that transition feel that way because now those extra dollars are being put towards these side bets. And it is what it is. Some people love those side bets. Especially like on Pyga. So yeah, no, I can't not agree. It's a true thing. All right. Are you ready? So it can't help the better. That was the last one. This falls into the one-way dealer. The one-way dealer is where you have dealers that only want to deal a certain type of action. They're very comfortable doing one thing, and the minute you stray from that, they will find ways to put you on to either steer you or move you on a path, which I hate dealers that steer me. I want to make a bet, and that was another one where on this table, it was a $66 place bet. So without going into too many details, if you don't know craps, but it's not a $60 place bet, it's a 66. The $60 place bet is more standard. $66 place bet is rarer, but it's still a good bet. And if I'm making a bet and it's a good bet, you should be able to pay it. It's not a hard bet to pay. I pay $77 in this case, but that's the bet I want. And this dealer kept arguing about, no, you want 60. No, I don't. I want 66. Just because you don't want to have the manage the bet, I don't care what you want to manage as a bet. I want a $66 bet. And now it's interesting because if you talk to some experienced dealers, they'll be like, there's this one woman who's an older dealer who I haven't worked with her directly, but used to constantly be critical of the strategies they have because, again, she wanted everybody to bet this one way, and she felt like there was only one way to play the game, but that's nonsense. Look what we've done on roulette. Like, I'm sitting on a roulette table. Do you know how many videos of different strategies we've had on roulette? I mean, it's unbelievable. It's a plethora. There's lots of ways for people to play, and people to play at many different levels. The same thing on craps. I still learn things. I still watch these channels and learn new ways of approaching the game with new types of bets, up, down, hedging bets, and stuff like this. So you can't say there's the one way to play the game. That's just not true. There's one way that dealers like you to play the game because it makes their job easier and they have to move their arms less, but that's not how the game is played, right? All right, so the tipping thing I'm going to get to. I'm going to do the tipping after the last thing, but I want to address to Christopher. Christopher Trucker brings up a very good point, which is fantastic. I love that you know the casino environment so well. Even when you tip, dealers can be kind of bitches. Especially if you switch. Like on a craps table, you have this option to become don't pass, shoot against the game, basically. I don't understand why dealers take sides or feel like that's a thing. I don't understand why there's a side of the game. There's no one way. Same thing with blackjack. There used to be, dealers love when you bet in even amount. They don't like paying big stacks of chips. So if you have someone who, I would tap out a dealer and they'd be like, this player over here is betting big stacks of red and just annoying the hell out of me. Right in their front of their face, And I would be like, why does that annoy you? Like, what is the difference between paying a big stack of chips and paying 2 chips? So instead of, they don't want to be converted and they're being, because they're superstitious. They want to play stacks of red. Let them play stacks of red. Who cares? You know what it comes down to? And this is what I tell my students all the time. If you cannot manage chips, if you don't practice and make your hand stronger, it's a drain on your brain. It really is. Because when you go out there and you see all these chips out there, or even working with the cards, whatever the case is, if you don't have the ability to manage your game, it weighs on you. So if you can't size into chips, or you can't go out and pay, okay, clearly when you see a stack it becomes an obstacle. You know what I mean? It's not an obstacle if moving the chips around the table is very easy. You guys see me deal, which is people say, I look like a butter. I practiced a lot to look like butter. Like I practice, and it wasn't for looking like butter. In fact, I never knew I looked like that as a dealer. Like I never dealt for YouTube prior to being on YouTube. You know what I mean? Like I just took it for granted. But I practiced every day running down chips because I wanted to overcome the hurdle or the obstacle of going out there and paying very quickly and being able to take care of all the bets efficiently. So if you're a dealer and you're not practicing managing these checks, getting used to the weight and the size and your ability to manipulate these checks, you're going to be that dealer that's getting tapped out going, oh my God, there's a big stack out there. Like, who cares? Big stack, little stack, what do we care? Like, bet whatever the hell stack you want, as long as it meets the criteria of the casino. Okay, that's the one-way deal. One-way dealers suck. I don't understand that, and that plays into this. Okay, the very last thing is, and the most obvious one that we used on the thumbnail, is stealing. It's a thing. It's absolutely a thing that dealers will go out of the way to, A, steal your money. You would think that it's not a thing. Like, it's only a one-way street where it's just players trying to take away from the game. But that's not true, because if a dealer hates you enough, they will find ways to either underpay you, forget your bets, argue about your bets, or here's one. They will literally set up a hard way for themselves using your money. And if I hadn't seen it myself, and I talk about it to this day, Dennis was with me. We were with a fan of ours, and I had a $50 hard four. $50. I parlayed it. We parlayed it. It went to $50. I had $5 for the dealer, by the way. The dealer switched the bet. So I don't know whether he thought that I didn't know what the bet was mine, but he literally switched the bet. And then it hit. The $50 hard way hit, and he's going to pay me $35 for my $5 hard four. What world do you think that, you already get $40. That's a really good bet, $50. You're getting 10%. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're getting an active bet. There's not a player out there that wouldn't be like, good for you. I put them up there for $5. It wasn't even a parlay they hit. I literally threw in the nickel extra. The guy switched the bets. I was just so stunned. He literally stole my bet. And when you're in that situation where you don't know, especially if you're unfamiliar with the game and you're just throwing money in on a crap table, it's really easy for dealers to roll you over. Really, really easy. I work with so many dealers that have rolled over players that you have no idea. And it's not like I can, you can't, I mean, what are you going to do? Like, some of these people either juiced in or it's on the other side of the game, which I'm not even supposed to be watching in the first place. The most stunning thing for me was the supervisor that was engaged with the game, like, just didn't know dice, like, literally had no dice. This crew was rolling over, the players rolling over, which has stunned me to this day, given what they went to. I mean, they were literally setting up bets for themselves. I don't know how else to tell you. They were absolutely setting up bets. And you can go back to that day that we were at that casino. You can look on the camera, and you can see the number of bets that these dealers paid themselves just while we were there. It was just shocking to me. And when I say that, what happened, because there already 3 dealers went to jail. I mean, I don't know if you know, but there was a big fiasco where they were setting up bets, the hopping bets, and they went to jail for this very same thing. And it happens
prior to us.
Prior to us being there.
Yeah.
This was like years ago. Now, normally if you set up bets for yourselves, or you're caught asking for bets or propositioning players for bets or whatever, just setting up bets. Can you imagine setting up bets? You get fired. It's instant termination, right? I mean, that's how it should be. And here is a whole crew with the discretion. Now, I went to a casino not too long ago where another part of stealing the bets is where a player had set out a tip for the dealers, had set up place bets across. And the player went on to roll like a mini hand, about 20-something numbers. And the whole time, the dealer was taking change from the player and using it to add to their bets because the player was not all that familiar with what they should get paid. And so they were it was place bets across, and then they were using the players' money to increase their bets. And I was like, and I'm standing there literally right next to the dealer, and I'm saying, and what's interesting is they didn't. This dealer was trying to press up the bets to get them to, I guess, a green, so they can start getting paid green. But meanwhile, the player asked me, he's like, David, what point did they pay themselves? And I was like, they should have paid themselves already, dude. They're using your money to press their bets. I don't understand, like, what are you doing? So I asked the dealer, I'm like, you realize those bets are for you to get paid, right? And you can't be taking his money to, oh no, my supervisor said it's okay. You gotta be kidding me. Are you kidding me? You literally asked your supervisor if you could take money from a player. Now we're talking the change. So if it was a $7 place bet, hand off a nickel and say, oh, okay, he would press it over, making it sound to the player like they were just paying part of their bet out of that. No, the bets that they had for themselves were separate and distinct. And he's like, no, this is I asked my supervisor, we can press them up. And then I look at my player and I say my player, it's just a friend, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, man. The guy says he got the okay from the supervisor. I look back and there is a supervisor there, and I see the dealer now is sort of second guessing himself, realizes that I'm asking a very specific question. I might know what the hell I'm doing, so let me go and talk to. So I hear them talking, and the supervisor is, yeah, go ahead, no problem. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. That's a thing? I mean, I've never heard of it. Both of them should be fired. You know what I mean? Like that would be under normal situations. So here's a guy trying to literally help you, and not only are you taking advantage of it, you're now taking advantage of the bets that he has. You're literally stealing this person's money, and now they're wondering. Well, and you know what's funny? The player wasn't even that concerned about the bets that they were getting paid. His first question was, How come they're not making money? Like he was looking because he knew that the dealers put the money when they get paid onto the inside. And he was used to seeing them just stack up their money. And there was no money being stacked up. And here he was. He rolled, I think, 26 numbers, which pretty decent roll, okay? And there's no money. His outlook was for this dealer, but this dealer is so buried in his own bullshit that isn't wanting to pay themselves. And ultimately, they sevened out, no money. I mean, whatever the hell the dealer was trying to get to, there was no money handed in. I mean, the bet started at $2, $3, ended up at $10, give or take, most of the bets, and zero money in the middle after this 26 number roll. I mean, it's stunning, absolutely stunning. Meanwhile, I'm like, you know what? What you did was wrong. I told the dealer, I told the dealer, and of course the dealer's like, well, who are you? Dude, you're going to be an adversary? Really? This player is tipping you. You don't understand that? You don't understand that this dealer did not give you permission to press their bets. Also did not give you permission. Pardon?
You said dealer. This dealer didn't give you.
Yeah, the player didn't give you permission to press the bets. That's number one. And if you had just talked to the player, I mean maybe, but then again you'd be propositioning the player. But all this player did was give you bets to pay yourself on everything and wanted to see you stack up your toes. Okay. And maybe the player doesn't know everything. Maybe the player isn't, you know what I mean? But you manipulating their bets under your own, and then taking change from bets that you're paying him and using that to press himself, brutal, absolutely brutal. I just couldn't believe it. And now the minute I ask you about it, you're an adversary. You're going to take this adversarial approach. This guy is trying to help you. This guy. Anyways, all right. Are you ready? I'm going to move on to the next thing, unless you gotta pause.
I do have a couple super chats.
I'm ready to get into the full blown. I'm going to go all the way with this one.
I have Robert Barnes gave us $20.
Mr. Barnes, thank you, sir. Hope you and your wife are great. Yes.
Dennis and Jay can fight over this. I probably won't make it to the birthday bash. I think you mean
March 30, 31st?
Yeah.
All right, we're canceling it, dude. We'll make it. Let us know when you're available, sir. We miss you. No, it's going.
It's okay, Mr. Barnes. I'll drink a Long Island iced tea for you.
Yeah, so the next event's in September.
August.
I keep saying September. It's the end of August. But this event, March 30th, 31st. It includes a dice clinic. Come on, everybody. We've got about quite a few tickets left. So we're hoping to get. Plus, we got the room rates done. So for those of you who,
if you still want to join,
it's no resort fee, no, it's all in $59.79, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna be there the whole time. So it's not gonna be one of these couple hours that we're gonna be there the whole time. We're gonna play. Those of you who are Patreons, we're gonna go up to the suite. We're gonna have a whole thing. It's gonna be a lot of fun. All right, but let's get on to the next thing. All right, so here is where we fix. This is the fixie part. So I'm going to talk about the fixie part. I'm going to get to, and I'm going to get to the rest of it. All right. You got to talk. So a lot of players feel like there's not much to say. That this is the modus operandus of the casino environment. It's just not, especially nowadays. Years and years ago, it was shut up and deal. Dealers were, I would say more robotic. Casinos they took a confrontational approach. It was real money being gambled. And that environment has changed. Social media has changed that. Phones have changed that. Instagram, you know what I mean? Like literally everybody's walking around with cameras. They're communicating constantly. They're sharing information. The days that you can just put your, nose in the sand and bury your face, that's just no longer a thing. And, people have real power. I understand we're in a very weird, precarious situation. I say precarious because the casinos love to just they're raising resort fees. They're finding new ways to charge you money. They're making the experience. They're pricing people out of this market. And I did that the other week, which did great. But it's very true. I think that in time, it's just going to be Vegas is going to make some choices. But the good thing about Vegas is Vegas evolves, man. Vegas has always sort of has always found a way back to center. And I feel like in some ways it's lost its way a little bit. And there's a few properties that have really gone really far in sort of moving the needle one way. The needle's got to come back because there's way too many people that are missing out on a Vegas experience. And we got a lot of rooms to fill and we've got a lot of venues to fill. And so the choice is going to have to be made. I really believe that, and I believe it'll start coming down to earth a little more. I have heard from table game directors that they expect these games to be the game minimums to drop and things like this. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. In the meantime, guess what? I am your advocate here in Vegas, and I work with casinos that are out there to make your experience better. So, the first thing I negotiated with these rates, these group rates for you guys for March 30th, 31st is no resort fees, dude. I got an all-in price. Listen, that's the price. The price is the price, and unless you're going to go soak your feet in a spa, which there's not many of us that are going to go do that. We're going to gamble. That's the event, and you know what? They're there, dude. It's so that's Palace Station, and they've been a fantastic partner of ours, and I can't say enough good things. It's a great. All right, we'll get to that. All right. So here's the thing: you got to talk. You have to be willing to say something. If you're on a game where a player, you feel like a dealer is not treating you or not respecting you or not respecting the money or it's not respecting you or whatever the case is, listen, you are a valuable commodity for that casino. And they do not want you to leave in a bad way. They don't want you to post a bad review. They don't want you to tell 6 of your friends that your experience sucked, and and on and on and on. In this day and age, they just don't want that. And if you think that a arms dead dealer and all these things that go on, if someone moves your bet and you feel like it's wrong, say something. Let them defend the action. Come to some conclusion. A lot of times casinos will just give it to you. They don't want to have the fight. They don't want you to be an adversary. And if you feel like you set yourself to be adversary and now the dealer hates you more, who cares? Let them hate you more. Go on to the next table. They're there for you. You're not there for them. They're there for you. That's why they're getting paid. That's why some of these places, they get paid really well. And if we all have the same sort of outlook on this, it'll get better. Because I'm a player now. I teach dealers. I love the whole dealing thing, but I'm clearly a player now. And this is all nonsense. I can't wait for casinos where we train enough dealers where casinos are filled up and they have better options and they can just let these lumps go and move on. You hate your job, you don't want to talk, you don't want to engage, you get the hell out of the casino business, dude. Do something else. Go build rock walls. I hear that. I used to build rock walls. You know what I mean? That's a tough job, dude. That's hauling rock. I used to split tires. Any of you guys know what splitting tires? I used to get paid by the ton, $15 for every ton of the middles, right? So the irons, you split the tire splitter one-handed, pressurized tire splitter. I was like 15 years old splitting tires for $15 an hour. And I got to about an hour. I would do about a ton an hour. But it was 1 ton of rims and 1 ton of tire rubber. And it was not an easy job. Can you imagine? So you guys that are dealing cards, dude, dealing with the little finger cuts, you suck it up and you deal better, okay? All right, anyways. So I always tell people, if you see something, say something. Don't be afraid to talk to somebody. And if you run into a supervisor, and they go into commiseration mode with you, well, sir, or well, ma'am, and they're trying to just placate the thing, screw that supervisor, dude. Move on. If you don't feel like you're getting the feedback that you want, and I mean this, because there are supervisors out there. Listen, if you have a deal that sets up a bet, and you know that happened, or they underpaid you, or you can't resolve it, or you walk up in the customer, and that dealer is fighting with you, and having this adversarial thing, that's wrong. It's just wrong. It's absolutely wrong. It's just wrong. I don't know what to tell you. It's absolutely wrong. And then you go to a supervisor and they're like, well, and they're just trying to placate you, and they're like, and they don't want to do it. Then move on. You know what I mean? Because it's either wrong and you're just trying to defend it, or it's wrong and now there has to be some resolution. And enough of these resolutions get out there, and I think that there's a way forward. And I'm going to get a lot of shit from it, and I always hear back, and who cares? You know what I mean? Listen. Speak to the ass. Okay. All right. So here and now we're going to get to So here's the thing: tipping. Okay. Here's what I do. So I know that there's a lot of dealers that, unfortunately, right off the go, you got to tip. You got to tip. So and here's where I save some grace. Here's where the dealers are going, oh my God. Okay, fine. They can breathe now. Okay. Whenever I walk up to a table, if I buy in for a stock, whatever color it is, the very first chip that I have, I tip for the dealers. And the reason I do that is, and it seems like a really forward thing to do, but I want to get the dealer on my side. I want to let them know that I am capable of tipping you if you provide me a certain level of service. And you will know when I don't like you because you will see me not having, there will be no more tips for you, okay? Now, there are 3 phases of tipping for me. One is the first bet out the gate. I always make it a simple bet, by the way. I feel like for most dealers, I know that a lot of people like betting across the dealers and then if they get numbers, but it's a lot of work. If the table gets busy, it becomes a bit convoluted, I have to say. Different casinos deal with tips in different ways. So I personally, I don't bet the line, okay, on a crap table. So anytime there's a line bet, I say that's for you. Or if it's a place bet on the line, something like this. Anything you see on the line, place bet or otherwise, that's for the dealers. They know that's their money, okay? And that's it. So what you can do is you can say, walk up to a roulette table. Every time I bet the 23, that's for you. That's your 23. Or every time I bet the 000, whatever, okay? So first tip is for the dealer. Then as I'm winning colors, whatever it is, I tend to tip the lower colors. So if I'm getting reds and whites, I'll tip whites. If I'm getting reds and greens, I'll tip reds, this kind of thing. And I do it somewhat consistently. Now, I don't do like a 10%. I don't measure it in a finite thing, but I try to keep them in action as I'm winning. If I'm not winning, I'm not tipping. That's just a fact. That's just how, I mean, if I'm not winning, I'm not tipping. But what I do if I color up, I will exchange the, whatever change is left at the end. But if you're an end game tipper, try to change that to a mid game tipper. And end game tippers, because dealers always make more if you just tip them as you go. If you're just waiting to the end and you give them a flat 10%, that's great. I mean, no takeaway. If that's literally how you like to do it, you like to look at what your total win is and give them a fixed percentage. I know people are like that. That's fine. That's not a bad. But dealers love to be in play. And it makes the game much more of a camaraderie thing. It makes it more of a community kind of thing. Everybody is trying to get the same outcome and win and get excited. And having all that good karma or good presence, I think, just feeds into everything else, right? So I feel like that's always the way to go. Because a lot of people ask me, hey, do I tip at the end? I would say you can tip at the end, right? You can take if you're cashing out 1,000, 1170, you can throw in the 70, unless you've been, if you've been tipping. And now if you haven't been tipping, then maybe the 170, because dealers love 10%, or that's a little more than 10%. But that's usually where I go. Now, when I slots, I'm a little different. If I don't get any service or no one wishes me good luck or I can't get a drink on a slot floor, I feel like there's no earning there. And which sucks for, because no one's really, no one's walking around with change anymore. No one's interacting with the customer. It's literally just some blue-eyed machine out there feeding you bills and exchanging your tickets and stuff like this. So when I get a hand pay, the floor supervisor walks up to you, and I love it because they come to you and they pay you, and then they're like, I think most of them don't expect to tip because a lot of people just don't tip anymore on the slot thing. But if they can't communicate, and I don't know. I go to local places and I always tip 10%. That's kind of the thing. Whatever I get paid on, I tip about 10%. If I get paid more than one, I go to 50%. If I get paid three is nice. Then I tip 50. And I keep going up a little bit, so I get a little more because it's a little more for me. But there's that. All right. Anything else? Because now I'm going to get to...
we have a super chat from Bradley.
Bradley.
Says 369 viewers. Nice. And only 28 likes.
Oh, really?
Yep.
We're going to give something away. Okay, ready? Hit, because everybody is very focused.
Well, there's actually 107. It's been a bit since.
Oh, it's been a bit. Let's give something away.
Oh, he said, "Love your rants, David."
Oh, I'm getting to the better rant. I haven't even gotten to the rant, sir. We're waiting for the rant. Here, can we give away something?
You want to give away a mag?
Oh, really? We can give away. Yeah, we can give away a mag. You want to give away a magazine? Yeah, but everybody's bought the magazine, dude. That's
every single person.
Every person. You know what I'd love to do is, do we have the roulette mat? We have a roulette mat. Let's give away a roulette mat or a casino or a prop mat. Oh, so here's the thing. We have these mats. We'll give away a mat. So we have these mats. So here's what do we have? How many likes?
119.
Okay, so we get to 200, and then if we get to 300, we're going to give away a hat. We got tons of hats.
We got one more super chat.
Okay.
We got Holy Roller. Gave us $4.99.
Holy Roller. Thank you, sir.
I started to enjoy playing craps on cruise ships because they're very kind.
Yeah.
I'd rather have a nice dealer that's learning than a rude pro dealer.
By the way, Holy Roller, fantastic. If you so Holy Roller has a YouTube channel. I'll just throw it out there. where he teaches you how to get free cruises, which is, if you didn't know, if you gamble even a little, you can get cruises love you. And by the way, that makes sense, because guess what? When the whole time you're on that cruise ship, you're dealing with the same people, so they have to focus on dealers who are willing to be, friendlier, more engaging, even at the risk of them not being the best dealer, right? Because God forbid you're that sucky dealer, it's not like they can put you off the boat. You know what I mean? Like, you got nowhere to go. Which is again, that's why local places tend to have dealers that the people that work there can be more friendly, I will say. I mean, it can also be hit or miss, obviously. But people like me, and if you find me to be more outgoing and engaging, and I kind of live by this thing, listen. After what I did when I was younger, becoming a dealer was the saving grace of my life. And every day I woke up to go to work as a dealer was literally a blessing for me. And I never forgot that. And today, the fact that I'm sitting here talking to you is literally like this. I'm always stunned. And people ask me about it, and I'm just stunned that I'm sitting here, that it's not literally anybody else. So I take none of it for granted. And I think, but if you're on a cruise ship, it makes sense that that would be a great experience, I'm sure, because you got nowhere to go. You're going to be dealing with the same people, so you got to get over it and dig in right from go. All right. You ready? You ready?
Keep going.
I'm gonna go. Okay. I was thinking. Okay, so we're gonna give one of these away. All right, and then the hat.
Well, we haven't got to 200 yet. So.
We haven't got it. Oh, okay. I don't know.
So proceed with speaking.
Proceed with the speaking. All right. All right. So I guess so almost the whole thing has been a rant, to be honest with you. But my thing is quite honestly this. I feel like casinos today are not doing their players justice. If you're going to raise the rates and you're going to change the experience, at least focus on because you can talk about having this experience, and you can make a commercial about it, but it's really disingenuous when your dealers suck, and when your dealers aren't providing. Your front line, experience is different, and it really comes from. And I say this all the time because I could care less. It's always about people. It's not about the property. It's about the people. There are properties that have opened and they've had the worst management team. And guess what? The property sucks. It really does. The whole experience sucks. And to a T, everyone that has responded back to me, at least, as far as the casino, and we know who we're talking about. It was terrible. Even the auditions sucked. You know what I mean? Like, we knew from, and I disconnected from literally everybody involved with that almost immediately. I cut them out of my LinkedIn. Yeah, David, listen. David, the small business owner, the small school owner, the guy with the big flipping mouth that has this YouTube channel. Yeah, me. I disconnected. I went on LinkedIn and I literally disconnected. You know when I disconnected? I disconnected because I realized right away, and by the way, this is your answer to someone out there. The reason I disconnected and the reason I never picked up the phone again was because I knew that all of those people coming out of those that had that negative feedback, I knew there was something wrong, and no one was willing to listen. No one was willing to acknowledge all of these things were happening right in front of everybody. I don't care how many years experience you have. I don't care how big your penis is. I don't care. Can I say penis on this channel? I don't care what it is you think about yourself that makes it work. If you suck, you suck. And you know what? Here, you ready? I suck too sometimes. I really do. I have to get a wake-up call. You know who wakes me up sometimes? Who literally just stops me dead in my tracks and tells me to reconfront something? Dennis, this young man right here. I'm always asked, why Dennis? Why Dennis? Dennis has proven to be one of our most successful employees. He started out with us. I'm going to share this. I can't not, because this plays into like everything else. This is my rant part, okay, as we try to get likes and, feed into the algorithm a little bit. Dennis started, I paid Dennis $250 a week. I'm not going to tell him what you make now. We're just going to float some.
When I started. You should probably preface when I started.
So when Dennis started with us, he was a media assistant, basically. He would set up cameras. That's all we needed him for. He was helping Timmy, and we would, we needed somebody to set up the cameras, do all that stuff, because it would take us forever. We were new. And so we hired him, and really we couldn't afford a lot, so we paid him about $250 a week. Now, when COVID hit, we had, so Dennis famously was let go or laid off twice. One of those times was during COVID, and there was a time where me and him had this really, I needed his help, and I didn't know who else to turn to, and he took a cut in pay where he was getting half. Can you imagine? He was getting half because I only needed him for a few hours, and we had no money. Like, we were just, you know what I mean? We were bouncing utility, but we still had to move forward, and we had no way out, and so. But you know why this young man has presented? Because he tells me when I suck. And you know what I do? I stop dead in my tracks and I listen. I've learned to listen, and I'm willing to engage literally all of it. There was a time at the school, by the way, and this is a more of a personal kind of thing where, we weren't doing a client of ours justice. Like, we weren't participating at the level that we should have been participating. And you know what? What was interesting? We were about to lose this contract. And again, listen, I'm a human being. We got a couple of human beings, and we have a tendency to kind of like, we have this sort of default thing, and this, you take the foot off the pedal a little bit, right? And you sit back and you revel in it a little bit. We have, again, human beings. And so what was interesting is I go down, I have this very constructive meeting with this individual. And he was so surprised to see how quickly I was willing to evolve, how quickly I was willing to confront the deficits and acknowledge that, yes, there was all this room for, I didn't come in as an adversary. I didn't come in thinking I knew everything, thinking my farts smelled a certain way. I knew that I had to confront this in a constructive way, and I was willing to do that. You know what I mean? And it's a rare thing. But here you have all sorts of circumstances, especially in the casino environment. I'll say it's everywhere because, casino bosses, they got big egos, dude. They're put into these situations and they go into these default thing, and not a lot's asked of them, to be honest with you. And they feel like because enough people walk in and dump money that somehow there's the success story. You know what I mean? And then they float this and they move up in the business. And then the one time they're put to the test, they fail the test because they've been smelling their own farts all their life, right? Because it's a really simple test. The test is very simple. If you're not willing to listen and you're not willing to acknowledge the things that are going on right in front of you, if you're not willing to accept that there are people that are upset, and how do you have an audition for a high-level property, and you talk about hiring personalities, but then instead of hiring personalities, it's all favoritism and juice, and you know what I mean? Some of this rant's going to be lost on some people. They're like, what the hell are you talking about, David? But let's just say this. It's always about the people. And it's always about, we can all learn, we can all evolve, but it's always about confronting truth. Sometimes truth is really, really hard for some people. But for others, we confront it all the time, and we're happy to move in. But here's what I believe. I believe that our players are coming. I believe that this new way of interacting is coming. And all the haters and all the people that are takeaways from this, they're going to get rolled over whether they like it or not. And the next part of this rant is, we went to a casino recently. We took a bunch of people to this casino. And the dealers gave us, we heard really, like, listen, if you're a dealer and, we've employed thousands of people in this town. We have friends quite literally everywhere that love us because we don't expect shit. Do you understand? We don't get paid to put dealers anywhere. Not a single flippin' job has ever paid us a cent to put a dealer. I work at that school every day to put dealers to work, okay? So if you think that your little space is somehow safe from whatever it is that you're trying to, it's absolute bullshit. So when we bring players to play at your casino who we have taught, and we have taught them our systems, or have learned roulette, and your first word out of your mouth is to bitch about these strategies, guess what? You're the asshole. You're the asshole, not us. I'm sending you customers. I'm sending you people who want to play and have a good time. So if you're sitting there and the first words out of your mouth, by the way, you'd be so stunned because I get players all the time. I get not only players, I get fans who ask me all the time, why aren't you, I went and I played your strategy and I got a hard time for the dealer because the dealer sucks or the floor supervisor sucks and they don't understand a gift horse when it's literally smacking them around. I don't know what the hell the expression is. But you suck, not us. And you could talk all this shit about what we're trying to do, but you know what we're doing? We're moving people to casinos. We're teaching people how to play. We're empowering people to come and enjoy Vegas, and that's it. And to entertain them. We're an entertainment channel. We don't present to be anything else. I'm not some Christopher Mitchell asshole who is trying to convince people to pay me all their money and to cheat at some game or have some perceived as, and I say that Christopher Mitchell because I'm sorry, but that guy, absolute scam, right? So you should stop being such a flippin' hater. Do your job, have fun, make your money, become a better dealer, and if someone brings you business, you should recognize that that's a thing. You know, I recently came across not just a dealer, but 3 supervisors in the pit. 3 supervisors in the pit come over and start talking to one of the supervisors comes over to one of our players and, you know, acknowledges right away that, you know, they're playing one of our systems and they're like, well, I don't understand how Casino Quest can charge people to teach. Dude, you don't understand because that's why you're there. You're there because that's why you're there. You can hate all you want. You can try to take away. But again, these are people by benefit of them being empowered to play. You know what I mean? And the bar is low. Casino Quest is, I know it's going to feel like me promoting, it's $25, dude, to learn the game. Do you know how many people lose $100 in seconds and have no idea what they're doing? And you walk up to a table or whatever, and now you're in $500. Wouldn't you rather pay $25 to learn how to play a game and have a better opportunity to actually learn and create opportunity? Of course you would. You know what I mean? And why don't you do it? The casinos are like, well, the same supervisor, well, we have lessons here. No one gives a shit about your lessons, dude. No one believes that you're going to teach someone how to win. You're going to teach them what the casino wants you to teach them. But, you know, it's interesting because the casinos don't know this, or at least they do now. But our players are still losing. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, you don't build City Center and Bellagio's and Arias and all these other because you have winners in the backs of winners. All we're doing is giving people opportunity, giving them more of a sense of control and ways forward. And some people win. Some people win a lot. Some people lose. But all you dealers out there and all you floor supervisors out there, anyone in this gaming business that doesn't think that this mindset is a takeaway from literally your entire experience. Because all you're doing is you're painting yourself in your box, and you're the idiot, not me. You're the idiot. Because I'm creating opportunity for players. I'm creating opportunity for our staff. I'm creating opportunity, and our business works, dude. I'm sorry to say, but in about 6 months, I have an LOI and a lease that we are engaging with. We're going to take over 17,000 square feet of Casino Quest, or at the Fashion Show Mall. And when we do that, we do 1,200 to 1,500 people a month right now. We're one of the highest rated things to do on the Strip. And guess what? We're going to increase that. You know why? Because we're truth, dude. We do that. And we've been evolving our space. We don't take away from that at all. We don't paint ourselves in the box. Our staff, when you come experience our staff, you will see they're excited to teach you. They don't commiserate. They don't create anything that's not true, right? So stop that. Let's provide some service. Let's even if someone doesn't tip, maybe they don't know how to tip, maybe they don't want to tip, maybe they're not a tipping culture, whatever the case is, who cares? We have a reliable outcome as a job. Most of us, if we're dealers, we work at jobs, we know what the toke rate is. We know what we're going to make that year. You know what I mean? Maybe if we all, instead of having some dead weight people who are antagonistic or defensive, maybe, you know what I mean? Instead of doing this, maybe get ready. Say hello. Acknowledge people. Show some happiness. Show some smiles. Let them buy in. Empower your players. And you might make more money. All right, so that's a wrap. Okay, man, I could just keep going on and on. But anyways, all right, anybody, did we get there? Can we give it away?
We still need some more likes, but I do have a couple of things that I want to read.
Go. Oh, wait, here, my power's almost out, buddy. Is this still on? It says my power's red.
Well, we'll just hope for the best.
Is it almost, it's about to go out? Oh my God, it's literally about to go out. You better be quick.
Okay, so we have...
Does this say pick up sound?
No, here.
You might need to give me yours.
Well, let me read these questions.
All right,
first.
go.
Okay, so we have a couple of things. We have number one, Cody's says, I'm a TG right now dealing, and I'm super excited to get out there into the industry. Mm-hmm. We have here a couple of people saying, because this was when you were talking about me, says, oh, Dennis, yes. And then someone said, and I found this really, really funny. Someone says, glad to hear Dennis is all the way up to $260 a week now. True success story.
Here, give me your mic, because this one's dead. I think it died.
It's still there.
It's still there.
As long as there's lights there.
As long as there's lights. Dennis makes a great living. And this house we got is for us to collab and also to as an added benefit. So we got this media house. It's been a godsend because we can film more. We're not losing hours, driving all over town from different places to collaborate, and it's been a wonderful thing. And
No, don't take it off.
Oh, don't take it off.
And you can't talk while you're.
Oh, then while I'm taking it off. Oh my God, I'm such an idiot. What do I know? All right, plug it in. Oh, he plugged me in. Oh, so Dennis makes a great living. He's well above average. I mean, not well above. I mean, he's doing great.
I'm well above average for my age, especially.
For his age, especially, he's doing great. He's succeeded on all fronts, and there's sometimes you need different outlooks, and that's one of the things that we have. Our team is really forming to be this very cohesive unit. And the one thing we do is we don't give a shit about who is where. Like, no one cares about that. Like we all, yes, there are functions that I perform that are compliance and tax payouts and stuff like this. But no one we're all working towards the same goal. We want to be in a better place. We want to take care of our families. We want to create this experience. We want to have fun doing it, and it's our passion, and it's something I enjoy literally every day of the week. But anyways, all right.
And then there's a bunch of comments about me, but thank you for everyone, all the nice words. But there's also a question that someone asked earlier. His name is Andrew from Sacramento. That's his actual title.
Okay.
Says, David,
yes.
How much do you expect dealers to recognize how you are playing and how quickly? So if they're distracted or forget where you are, you can remind them to bet, power press, collect, etc. Question mark?
Yeah. So I just always talk and tell. The best way to interact with a dealer is to know exactly what you want. Yes, dealers get distracted. Sometimes dealers just don't get it. And I know we've confronted, craps is a tough game. There's a lot of moving parts. Don't get me wrong, especially if you have a newer dealer who's literally just kind of in the moment. So that's one I give a lot of allowances for. Sometimes if you're trying to do too many things for a new dealer and they're getting overwhelmed, it can be very frustrating. I promise that's a thing. I tend to avoid some break-in places, especially when I have players who want to play certain systems, only because I know I don't want to make it too difficult for the dealer. And so you do, as a player, have to make some allowances for that, because at first, when a dealer is breaking in, they're just buried in the game. It's really hard to get your head out of the game. It's hard to even just stand up and especially if you're at a busy casino. And I've been through this quite a bit. It takes a while for a dealer to kind of be in the presence of the game where they can really just see how you bet and then, and then accommodate your bet. I will say this, a couple things. If you come with a strategy and it's a fixed strategy, most experienced dealers should pick it up very quickly, and they should be able to set it up. And if they're not picking it up and they're constantly pushing back and asking you what you want to do, they're being an ass. It has nothing to do with them not picking it up. We were, again, I'll stop mentioning the Bellagio. It may or may not have been the Bellagio, but we ended up on this table. There was a $100 game, and there were these there was some Asians playing on the table, and they were come bettors, like specifically $100 come bets, max odds, and they had purposely put another. I'm thinking they were Chinese, and they put a Chinese dealer on there so he could communicate them, and he was an experienced dealer. And this dealer was like literally he would have been a perfect example for how not to, he would never pass an audition at a break-in property or most properties. He luckily for a lot of these people that end up because Bellagio is like end of the road. Aria, Bellagio, Cosmo. You get there and you can be a shitty ass dealer because guess what? There's nowhere else to go. You pass the audition, you get through your 90 days, and now you got full time, whatever the case is, and so you can just be a shitty dealer. And so here's this dealer. I'm watching this action. We have a player with us who was in like 10 grand, and he was trying to bet. He was betting 550 inside. And this guy was so impressed with how fast, but he was knocking over the chips. He was hanging his arm back here below the rail, which is not a thing you should be able to. Turning around on the game, talking to a supervisor, another thing you're not supposed to do. Completely disengaged, taking for granted literally everything that was going on the table. And I was trying to, I was exclaiming when there was a point where he was paying the bets where he looked to be, efficiently. So you could tell like he was a guy who knew the game. I mean, he knew the game. Like he was an experienced, probably a 20, 25-year dealer at least. But in his effort to be cool, he was completely ignoring or taking for granted like everything that was on the game. So here we are, 550 inside is basically all the inside numbers. It's a 5, 6, 8, and 9. It's 1 1/4, 150, 150, 125. So it's a $550 bet. It's a high value player, right? And every single time that our player dropped the money, he's like, "What do you want? What do you want?" You know, he was being confrontational. I'm like, "Dude, you know the bet, dude. You know the bet. You're working at Bellagio. It's a $100 table. This has to be a standard bet. It's 800 across or 675, 650, 550. You know these bets. So how are you not setting it up every time? And the reason why you're not setting it up every time is because you're an asshole. That's all. You're just an asshole, and there's the only way to explain it. You're just being a confrontational dick, and you're making it difficult. There's only 3 players, by the way, on this game. There are these 2 come-betters, you know what I mean? And it doesn't matter that, listen, because he clearly did not want this guy on the table. He wanted to just focus on this black action, and they had made this game a $100 game with the hopes of maybe just making it a semi-private. But you know what? The other game was $50, so it wasn't like a big upgrade. Then we go to this other table. There was a woman. And she wanted to, I don't know how the conversation got started necessarily, but I remember her, she's like, "Yeah, I've been a 25-year dealer." And Dennis is there, he'll back me up. We were coming down a 320 across, and she did not know what that bet was. How do you not know what 320 across is? A $50 table, that's the bet. If you're on a $50 game and you want a standard place bet across, it's literally 320. How do you are a 25-year dealer and you don't know what 320 across? It boggles my mind. You know why? She knows what it is. She's just being confrontational. She's just trying to ignore the reality. So if you run into something like this, you know what sucks is if you end up in an environment where you only have one casino, you only have one choice, you only have the 1 or 2 tables that's near you, right? You don't have a lot of other options, right? But if you're in Vegas, dude, get the hell out of that casino. I mean, just get the hell out of that casino. That's not a thing. If someone is like that, if you're at a high-end property and they're not able to just take care of basic action and set you up, or that dealer is constantly asking you what you want, and they're not acknowledging, unless your system is absurd. Like, there are some systems out there where I don't even, I have to ask the person every time, like, what do you want me to do with this? Because they want to hedge this, and they want to come down, up, down, you know what I mean? So those are systems you could be changed. But if you have a default system, and you're doing, like, power pressing, if you're doing triple lux, it's the same power presses all the time, and you've gotten to a couple roll, that person should know 25-year dealer, are you kidding me? They should know exactly what you want all the time. If they tell you, "I've never dealt with this bet," bullshit, that's a lie. That's not even a thing. If you're a 25-year crap dealer in this town, unless you've worked the shittiest jobs, or even the shittiest jobs, you'll have seen all these shitty-ass bets. If you have worked nothing but Bellagio the whole time, maybe you haven't seen a $36 5, okay? Because, you're going to see that more at a $5 aggressive or $15 aggressive table. You know what I mean? If you've just worked on a $25 table your whole life, might not have seen $36, okay? And you're going to, I won't go into how $36 is a bet, but if you get a dealer that's claiming to be experienced, that can manage the table, and they don't want to deal with your bets, they don't want to deal with bets because they're just an asshole. That's all there is to it. And they should not be doing the game. And when I say that, and everybody's like, well, I'm not a total asshole. I'm really nice to my, no. But if you go to work and you're dealing with people, interacting with them, the thing that gives you money, the thing that makes you money, the reason why you subsist and pay your rent, you're an asshole. I mean, you can't be that guy that gets out of church and then goes on shooting. You know what I'm saying? Like, you go to church and or you know what I mean? Like if your goal is to treat people with some common some common decency, well, that's common decency even for a dealer. And that's the thing. Dealers feel like they can be adversarial. You know what I mean? Somehow they get cover. And they get cover sometimes because they either have juice or they have experience and the casino can't afford to lose them. Screw that. That's why we exist. Come down to the school, learn how to be a great dealer, and we'll teach you how to not commiserate yourself out of a job. All right, what do you got?
I do wanted to add actually something to that because
Okay.
you kind of went a little further than you needed to.
Okay.
He did say remind you of power presses collects. Like the power presses collects. If it's the first couple power presses and you've done this for a bit, they will. Mm-hmm. But especially
once it
when
gets higher, then
you should probably just know them at that point.
Yeah, you should know the amounts clearly. I will say this: even the most experienced dealers won't know some of the bets because of the way the table dynamics have changed. So when I was a dealer, I've dealt with so many more bets because you had this full range of betting experience. I would work a table with 6 and 7 stacked. So when I was at the Rio, we'd have $5 tables, and we'd have $5 players up to $100,000 players, like this full range of experience all the time. Nowadays, they have these sort of $15 tables, and you either have people who can't really afford $15 tables or pay at a higher limit, so you don't see the same range of betting action. So you don't have the same experience that some of us. Listen, you know what the best range of action was back in the day was the bird game. So the fact that I dealt a 25-cent table has really translated over time because I know at 550 inside. So on a $100 game, 550 inside used to be $5.50. It was the same bet. So I got to deal in those units that dealers today never see. You don't see that until you get to a high limit thing. That's why I have a Dice Master class, because that's the game. The bird game translates to this high limit action amazingly well, right? But because that game is no longer a thing, even a $1 game doesn't, or a $3 game doesn't exist, right? It's all these ridiculously high-end games. So you start at this whole other level, and unfortunately for most of us, for a lot of us, it squeezes us out of the table. Like we can't. If you buy in for $300 in a $15 game, like what kind of range of action do you have? You have very little range of action. And casino loves that, by the way. That increases their margins and it raises their wins on the table because what are you going to do? You don't have a lot of flexibility to bet. Yes, sir.
Okay, I have a couple super chats and then a funny thing.
Okay, funny. We're gonna give away a mat.
Steve gave us $5 Canadian.
5 Canadian. That's like $20 US now.
It says, always love the story times with David.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir. Really appreciate you. We're producing them straight to Spotify. The next stories are coming out. When are we doing those? So we're filming them together, and then we're gonna load them onto Spotify. We've been busy with this new lease and the training center supporter.
Mountain of things. No, the other super chat is for $5 from Dougal Boogie. Says, I always tip my dealers, even here.
Good. Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you, sir.
And then I found this funny.
Yeah.
MB says,
MB?
back to 250, Dennis, for not charging the mics.
Oh, I know. The back to 250, and then we'll negotiate a half cut. Yeah, no, 100%. No, he's doing a great job. Plus, I've been known to power down a few systems. My mouth is like the Energizer, huh?
And then just because are you done with all your notes?
Yeah, I'm done with all the notes. I will say we're going to give away the mats.
Yes, we're at 223.
223. All right, we're going to give away a mat. So you can choose what mat you want. So we have these mats, so you can practice the roulette wheel.
It's got to be the small mats.
It's got to be one of the small. Yeah, one of the small mats. You can check on our site, shopcasinoquest.com. So we have these. We have the one that looks like a wooden wheel, which I kind of like, but this is more the classic CG. We also have a prop box. If you guys like to practice prop box stuff, so we have it. Originally had it for our dealers, and now we have it. Have it for you guys. Do we have a single zero version of this little mat? No, that's our version.
I can make one,
but we can make one. Yeah. But there's that. So you can kind of choose what mat you want. All right, so let's do it. You ready? All right, how do we do this? And the training center supporter, what is it? The center? It's casinoquest.biz/the center.
I think so.
I think it's casinoquest.biz. Wait for it. So we're adding. We're almost done with all of our tiers, our value-based tiers, and we are going to be engaging all of you to build out this next experience, which will be player immersion. You want to be a dealer? You can come to Vegas and be a dealer Now, it's only for a weekend, but we're going to train you on the game, and we're going to roll you out on a Casino Quest floor that's going to be in this very public space, and we're going to create this whole experience for you. And you'll leave here with a certificate saying you're a Las Vegas dealer in blackjack. There'll be other games that'll be more premium games.
You should have picked the word before you started,
What's the word? The center.
No, for the mat.
To get the start. Okay, the center.
Okay.
Let's do. Oh no, wait. We should do. How about just dealer?
Dealer. Okay. Dealer. Type in dealer and
type in dealer. Okay, and then we're gonna get you guys.
And then now you can promote.
Now I can promote. Okay. So we're gonna be doing. So first, we're gonna put out a poll of all the people that a lot of people have really responded very positively, because we want to. So we're gonna put out a poll. And the poll is going to ask you, what kind of involvement do you think you'd be interested in? We're going to have all sorts of from $5 to quite literally $1,000, and then we're going to split it up. So we're going to do a value-based thing where you'll be able to take advantage. We're going to put, there'll be tiers where you get a player's card, or you get a tier tag, you get special, or like a plaque on our wall. as a sponsor contribution. You'll also get some. If you're someone who comes to Vegas a lot, you'll get reservations, stuff like this. So we're working at that tier list, and then we're going to do an equity. We have this opportunity to build out a lot of these. So we want to expand into some new markets, and we're not going to keep this to ourselves. I mean, we're going to involve you. Anybody who wants to be involved will have this opportunity to be involved. Instead of us going out and trying to raise money from a bank or do this series funding and stuff like this, we're just gonna, and otherwise we're gonna do it ourselves. That's all. But it'll be slower. Let's just say.
Cape Answer gave us a $2 super chat.
Thank you.
Says, are we ever gonna find out what the truth is? No.
I know what the truth is. I will tell you forever and a day. And this is where David's Vegas.
He means when we do the.
But my truth is people. It's always about people. I used to think it was about lots of other things, but it's not. It's about people and freedom. Finding your freedom, finding your passion, and the people that put you there. Because all of us are going to, even you young people out there, you're going to get to an age where it's all about the memories, the experience, and the hugs, and the kisses, and the loves, and the joys, and those are the things you're going to focus on. And if you're ever at a point where you're missing those things, you focused on the wrong things. And I didn't learn that lesson until much later in life. I'll have to say my lessons came hard, and did not work out as they wanted to. But
okay, tell me when to stop.
A lot of joy now. A lot of joy. Okay, go ahead and stop. Number 8.
Number 8. We're going 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, it's just Jim.
Jim?
No other thing.
Really?
It just says Jim.
That's great.
I'll at you, Jim, so you know it's you.
All right, Jim. Congratulations, sir. You get a free mat. We pay for the shipping. Dennis will let you know how to contact us. If you got to give us your actual address, we have to mail it to you, or you can pick it up at the store if you're local. Have to be local. But there you go. Your own CG or Casino Quest mat.
We did get one more super chat before we end it here.
Yeah.
None. Like none, None.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah.
Game was $19.99. Says, what is your view on dice control? Put aside the fact that every roll is random. What are both of your personal opinions on it?
Wow.
Thanks.
Always a tough question. So here's the thing. Okay. I believe in people that, here's what I'm going to tell you. And you're going to be like, I don't want to be fudging this because it's a hard question for us. Like we have a coach. We have a dice coach at the Casino Quest. His name is Ronnie. He's fantastic. He's a really, really, really nice guy. I'm not a member of the dice control community. I will tell you this. I do set my dice. Because I feel much more confident about my rolls when I set my dice. And that translates for me to the table. I'm very superstitious, strangely so, in everything. Literally, even playing Keno, the way I buy in, the way I do everything, it's very sort of structured. And, I think all gamblers, if we think about it, we develop this, okay? The dice are very random, but I do feel like there is some opportunity. I have very, very rarely seen people who have predictably had an outcome, and the outcome that they've had has always been relatively small. I don't know how that translates, to be honest with you. I can't say definitively that dice control is not a thing, and I can't say that I've ever seen someone, there is no story that I've ever heard here in Vegas where someone that practiced dice control took a bunch of money. And what I do think is wrong, and I'm gonna get crap for this because there's some really nice people who teach dice control. I've met them. At first I was very skeptical, but I've met them and they're very nice. They seem very nice, but I feel like you charging someone an absurd amount of money to teach them dice control is just silly. There's a lot of basic ways to do the game, if they were living in the biggest, fattest mansions, or I had heard of them. I've been in this town now for 33 years, and our community, as far as the dealers and the people that hit these games, if it was anything substantial, I would have heard something. And I've been on tables where dice controllers are walked off, and dice controllers know this because, they take away from the game sometimes. And some people that try to be dice controllers that will fidget, and they'll take too long before rolls, and it irritates the hell out of the casinos. Casino backs them off. So I've experienced kind of the whole range. I've had these 2 truck drivers, this husband and wife, that used to come to this one casino, and they seem to be They were setters, like ridiculously hardcore setters, and they seemed to do well. And they came in, took their $100 and got the hell out kind of thing. And I don't know how well that translated. I don't know if it was just they just won when they came and visited us, or they, but they were come bettors, they were repeater bettors, which is a lot of how the setter community kind of started out. Which really that was the goal, is to get repeaters and bet come bets and whack it. But here's the thing. I gotta tell you this one experience. So we're talking to Ronnie. Ronnie is really just a fantastic human being. He's someone really laid back. He's very easy. He's just the nicest guy. He'll make your ribs on some random Wednesday and bring them into work. He's just fantastic that way. So early on, he came up to us, and we had been confronted by a few people who wanted to work out of our store, dice setters. They wanted to either hire our space or contract us, something like this, create a relationship, because we had customers come in, they want to offer their service. And I was just so skeptical of it, and it just seemed like, some of them were offering, like, they wanted to charge thousands of dollars for this 3-day clinic, whatever the case was, and that wasn't something. You do that in your own space, in your own thing. That's never been my thing. And quite frankly, we have a school. We have these relationships with the casinos, and we can't be doing this whole, these clinics like that. It's just not a good thing for us. But I meet Ronnie, and one of the very first days that Ronnie's there's this woman that comes in and wants to hire Ronnie, and she doesn't want to hire Ronnie to like have a predictable outcome. She wants to hire Ronnie because she just wants to be able to throw the dice and feel more confident. Like, she feels like every time she loves to roll the dice. But it's awkward for her, how she throws, where she throws. And you know what? Ronnie hooked her up, and she came back like 3 times. Like, she loved this. Every time she was able to come to Casino Quest, she worked with Ronnie. Ronnie coached her, and she graduated, with this really nice throw. And she, predictably, has told us that it's contributed to her feeling better about the game, winning more money, having greater confidence. All those things are true. Like, literally all those things are true. And I do think that in this world, there's a lot of things we don't understand, but I do believe that a positive outlook and confidence translates all the time. You know what I mean? I can tell you, when I played tennis, I used to play tennis as a bunch of mind, it's a mental game. And when I was confident and I felt good and comfortable, I played better. You know what I mean? So I think there is something to be said for that.
That I agree with. That part, so like he said, my opinion of it is, when you feel comfortable and you feel like it's you don't care about the money, you let it all go. Yeah. That's when I believe in it.
And Ronnie, like, that's why we love Ronnie. By the way, Ronnie's only what, $80?
Yeah.
Ronnie's $80. You come in, you spend an hour with him. He not only helps you set up the dice, and he'll talk you through some of the bets. It's a good time. Ronnie's a really and he's literally like the most laid-back experience. So if you're looking for engagement, you know what I mean, and you're people that are intimidated by the game, intimidated by where to position themselves or how, and he's very open to, like, there are some parts of the community, they only want you to shoot one way. Like, they want you to do one thing with the dice from this position and that kind of thing. I think that's also a takeaway. I like to be down the center. I don't like to stand at the stick, me personally. I like to manage my money down the center because I like to see everything that's going on in front of me. I know how the dealer interacts with the game, so I feel like if I'm there, it's much easier for them to pay me. By the way, that's very true. If you're next to stick, it sucks for you're the longest reach for the dealer. So the dealer literally, like, right away, if you want to be less adversarial from walking up to a crap game, position yourself closer around the base. You know what I mean? Being down the center is a really great place to be. It still lets someone come up and do the DC, this kind of thing. So that's how I'm kind of mindful of that. So I'll play down the center. And I like to throw the long way down the center too. But yeah. Anyways, that's my thoughts. And I'm sorry if it doesn't fit some of the other narratives out there, but that's the truth. So.
No, you cannot throw the dice like a baseball.
Yeah, you cannot throw the dice at the baseball.
Anyways, we're gonna end it here.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Say the line.
I'm off to Kina. Don Wine.
And the truth is.
Bye, guys.